Hi, I'm Marlow, and my mom had a kidney transplant. Before kidney failure, my mom was this passionate, vivacious woman. She taught preschool music, and she was so creative with how she taught her students. And she looked after my nephews most days when they were done with school, and she was a really talented jeweler. And she had this zest and passion for life that really fell by the wayside as soon as her kidney level started to drop. She she kind of was in this fog. She had a hard time having the energy and mustering up the energy to do anything at all. And so all those things that she loved so much, all those activities that I just mentioned, really fell by the wayside. And that was really hard to watch. Dialysis affected our lives because it doesn't give you a life, it just keeps you alive. And there's a difference. I think it was hardest on my dad, outside of my mom, because he was the one doing all of the setup. My mom was doing peritoneal dialysis from home every night. And so my dad would lug up these bags of solution, help sterilize everything, help put out all the settings where they needed to be. And it was just a long, arduous, annoying process. And it was, of course, annoying for my mom because she had to be hooked up to a machine 12 hours a day. And really, I think that dictated what she did and when she could go somewhere and when she had to be back home because she had to make sure that she was getting that in every night. So it was pretty hard. And I think it was hard for the rest of us, my family and her friends, to watch her going through all of that. My mom spent a year on dialysis before she considered a living kidney donor. And that's because she felt like that was a gift she couldn't repay. And she didn't know how to do something like that. She was also really concerned that something might happen to the person who would donate to her, and she felt like she would never be able to forgive herself if something happened to them, either in the surgery itself or somewhere down the road. When my mom decided to consider a living kidney donation, she really struggled with who that donor might be. My sister and I had decided to get tested originally without her knowing it, because we both wanted to be able to donate if we could. We weren't a match, but she ended up on a paired kidney list. And I think she really felt like she would be most comfortable with a donor she didn't even know, someone she'd never met at all. And some of the things that we were struggling with were fear, I guess. Just fear in general. Fear if we were going to be the donors, that everything would be okay. And on her end, fear that something might happen to that person or might happen to them down the road. And I think the more information we had, the more that fear started to subside. And I think the worse my mom felt, the more open to the idea she was. What changed my mom's mind, because my sister and I were always a yes. We were nervous, but we were always a yes. But my mom needed convincing, and I think ultimately it was that she felt so sick and tired that she was desperate. But in addition to that, there had been many, many months of talking to her about living kidney donation, telling her what that meant, what it involved, putting some of her fears at ease, finding out that people live long, happy, healthy lives, that if you need a kidney, you can get one much faster than the average person if you've been a donor in the past. And those things I think helped. I would also tease her. I tried not to always make it a heavy thing. I think I read a study saying that when one sibling is able to become a donor for their loved one and the other can't, that the person who donated reports feeling a greater sense of purpose about their life. They feel a sense of ease and peace and happiness about their life that the other person doesn't feel in quite the same way. And I would say, don't you want me to feel like my life has meaning? Is there a reason why you don't want me to be happy? Why won't you let me do this? So I would try not to always make it a big, heavy thing. But I think all those things came together and she finally became open to the idea. The morning of my mom's surgery, I woke up really early and I called my dad and I said, "What's the update?" And he said, "We got the call and it's a go. We're at the hospital. So I bolted out of bed and I ran into my bathroom to get ready, and I just started jumping up and down and crying. I couldn't believe this day was finally here. 5 years, 3 years on dialysis. It was incredible. So I got to the hospital, and it was maybe 15 minutes before they wheeled her into surgery, and it was like a little dance party in there. The nurses were kind of jamming out, and they said, it's usually not a good day when someone comes to the hospital, but whenever we see a transplant patient, that's our favorite. It's just the happiest day. So we were all celebrating, and she said, "I'll see you when I have a new kidney." And that was it. We went out and hung out for a few hours waiting for her to be done. And my dad said, I really had started to lose hope. I didn't think this was going to happen. So we really were shocked. And even more than that, we were so excited, but at the same time, we were so heartbroken for that family. I mean, our happiest day was someone's worst nightmare, and that broke our hearts a little bit, and it wasn't expected. But the gratitude that we have for that individual, every single day is unreal. But anyway, we got back to see my mom, and she was doing great. And the doctor said that they were so happy with how the kidney was performing that it was almost like it was a living kidney donor. And so they took out the dialysis catheter right in the middle of that surgery because she knew she wasn't going to have to do dialysis. So it was fabulous news. So we started making the calls to all of those people in our lives who had been so supportive for so many years, and they were so excited. They just wrapped us in the biggest hug. They were overjoyed for us, and we were pretty happy for ourselves too. It was amazing. When we learned that my mom's surgery was a success, we were all in disbelief. We were so elated and so amazed and so relieved. And it just felt hard to believe. It had been 5 years of waiting, countless people getting tested, and really we had put our lives into getting my mom a kidney. And I think the fact that she got one and it seemed to be working well right from the start was just, it was a miracle. It's now been 7.5 months since my mom got her kidney transplant, and she is just back to her old self. As my dad says, she laughs, she cries, she gets pissed. It's like we have that old Barbara from Brooklyn back in our lives again. And it's true, and it's wonderful. And I think it's incredible as well because she's going to be here to see her grandkids grow up and spend time with my sister and me and my dad and travel again. My goodness, they have wanted to be out of the country and seeing the world and enjoying their retirement, and they just haven't been able to do that. And now it's actually a possibility. And I think one of the things that for me personally feels really good is that she will get to be at my wedding. There was a certain point where she said to me when she was still on dialysis, "Can I ask you a favor, and will you not get upset?" And I said, "Sure, what can I do?" And she said, "Can you please get married before I die? I really want to be at your wedding." And now that's something that's high on my list. So my boyfriend and I we are kicking that into high gear because she's here and we're taking no days for granted. And we're happy that she's going to be there for all of the happy moments that lie ahead in the future. That's the greatest gift that we could possibly imagine. My best advice for a family member of a recipient is to be that person's champion. I understand it can be an awkward thing to go and ask people to consider being a living kidney donor, but I swear it gets easier. If you ask as many people as I asked, it just gets to be something that you can view as not this weird, odd, heavy request. It can also be an opportunity. You can just think about it as going up to people and asking if they want to single handedly save someone's life. And you know what? The worst that someone's going to say is no. And that's fine. They might be willing to help you in other ways. Maybe they'll share the story on social media. Maybe they will help spread the word via email. You never know. But getting the word out is crucial. And we tried really hard, and I think we could have done a much better job still. I mean, we had a web page that was called kidneyforbarbara.com, and we had information on becoming a living kidney donor and what that entailed. We had information on how to get tested. We had information about a campaign that we were creating for future solutions for kidney disease. And in addition to that, we took to the streets with signs and said, we need to find Barbara a living kidney donor. And, there were probably 5 people one day when we marched around saying, I'll give her a kidney. How do we do this? What's the deal? And people will surprise you. I think in a situation like this, people come out of the woodwork. There are other people who might back off and you're kind of surprised they're not there to support you, but people will come out in droves in ways you never expected if you just let them in and tell them what's going on. So that's the best advice I have. I think that's also a huge support for the person who needs the kidney, because in those months and years that might pass that they're not getting one, it feels really good for them to know that their community supports and loves them. And that's something that's positive for everyone all around.